thanks and hello to everyone in the Angel Investment Network. We're old veterans of the Angel Investment Network, having worked with them for about probably close to 2 years now. We've done 2 capital raises, both of which have been very successful. It was founded with one express goal, and that goal was to create hologram systems that would solve the problems of virtual reality. So we have a number of different systems that we're producing now. So for example, up here, we've got the hologram table, which is one of our most popular products. And we also have the hologram room. So the hologram room is sort of a large scale one that we use for entertainment and military training simulations and things like that. And then we also have the hologram wall over here. In other words, you can step into a hologram room or stand around a hologram table with your friends or your colleagues or your clients or your customers, and you wear very, very small glasses that you can actually see through, so you can still make eye contact and have those very important social interactions. And that's what most of our clients are doing with our hologram rooms. People like Airbus and the US Marines, they're actually using them to build very, very fancy sales demos. So when you step into the room, that car is in the room with you. It's life-sized. It's floating in the air in front of you. The car is life-size. It's not just 3D. It's truly immersive. Just like virtual reality, you can stick your head through it. But the difference is you can still have that social experience, talk to other people in the room, point at things. It's basically a massive step up from virtual reality helmets. So we've done it in 2 tranches. The first tranche was a couple of years ago. We had the hologram room at that stage, but we wanted to develop the hologram table. So that was a new product for us. So the hologram table, we had like a sort of a wooden prototype of it. That's this one. We had like a wooden prototype, and it worked, but it was very rough, right? It was, the concept worked, but it was very rough. We needed to commercialize it. So we went on to Angel Investment Network, and we raised 700,000 Australian dollars, which is roughly 500,000 US dollars. We used that money for the commercialization and research and development, basically to make it look pretty, get a production pipeline in place, and get it rolling out to customers smoothly. And that went very well. It's now one of our most popular products. And the valuation of the company was also much smaller when those people invested, because we only really had one product, which was the hologram room. Everything else was still in concept phase. So they took a bit of a risk. And since then, the valuation of the company has raised considerably, because we now have a much larger slate of IP and intellectual property and all that good stuff, and also more patents. So we've actually patented the hologram table's design as well. So it uses all kinds of crazy waveguiding crystals and stuff. That we've done patents on that, which has increased the valuation of the company significantly, based on evaluations by many people. So following that, we started to get everything together with the hologram table. And then what we did is we had a lot of people inquiring to us saying, oh, we want to buy this thing in the United States. And then COVID happened, right? So we were just starting to get a toehold in the United States, and then COVID happened. So what we're doing in the current round is we're raising 5 million Australian dollars. And what we're going to do with that money is use that to set up those distribution points and showrooms in the United States. Okay, so investing during the age of COVID basically means you have to bring shareholders on board, educate them, make them understand what your company's about, and more importantly, what's in it for them, without ever meeting them. So this is very challenging. We definitely use Zoom or whatever our clients like, but we've got a few tricks up our sleeve. I would say that one of the most important things you can do in a meeting is you've got to have a really good microphone, something like this. I spent about $200 on it. It makes a world of difference because it makes the warmth of your voice better. So if anyone's listening on headphones, it'll sound like I'm in the room with them, and that builds trust, and it helps you to build that relationship. The other thing that's vital is you've got to use headphones. Every single time you've got to use headphones. If you're not using headphones, it's chaos basically. And I always try and get the shareholders to wear headphones if they can. It just makes the call so much nicer. And you don't want to be having the echoes, and it's crazy. Just use headphones. Very simple. But more importantly, things like be aware of where the camera is positioned and look at the lens the whole time. It's very unnatural for you, but it's much more natural for the person that you're talking to. Because if you're, like I'm looking at the lens right now, right? Seems really natural, like I'm talking to you. But the thing most people do is they are looking at the other person on their screen like this. I use this software called, it's got a really weird name. If you've ever seen those people on Twitch live streaming their games, where they have like lots of buttons and interactive things in their live streams, I use like the commercial version of that. It's a piece of software called, now I know this is strange, but it's literally spelled MMHMM. That's the name of the software. Apparently the name was designed to be said while you have a mouthful of food. So very weird software, very weird, but very effective, because what you do is you create little slides that can be either video or images, and you can talk over them. I would take one step back. I wouldn't view it as fear of missing out. The way I talk to our shareholders is I say, look, where were you in 2008? So I try and have a conversation with them. Where were you in 2008? Like, I personally was working in a games development studio making PlayStation games. That was me. I have a background in software development, 3D game engines. Then they'll say, oh, I was in high school, or oh, I was working as an accountant, or whatever it is. And then they say, in 2008, were you aware of Tesla Motors? Do you know Tesla Motors? They always find that a little bit insulting. Like, of course I know Tesla Motors. But in 2008, why did you not invest in Tesla? That's the question I ask most of my investors. For a lot of them, the answer to that question is very revealing. Like, some of them are like, oh, well, I was in high school. Okay, you get a pass. But most of them will say, well, I didn't know Tesla. I might have heard of them, but I didn't really know about them. And I was like, that's the stage of company that you're investing in. In 2008, Tesla was pre-IPO. They were very similar to my company. They had their own factory. They had a great product, just like my company. But what they didn't have was that big global distribution network and that big global presence that everybody knew about them. They didn't have that. They were just another startup, really, in 2008. But the people who really made money from investing in Tesla invested in that year. They made enormous amounts of money because they invested in at exactly the right stage. So I tell our potential shareholders, we were at a very similar stage to them. We have a lot in common with Tesla in 2008. Our own product, our own factory. It's all things we make ourselves. It's unique. Nobody else is making the stuff. We have the patents. And for a lot of people, that simultaneously tells them exactly what our company is, how it's structured in terms of investment. And also they start to think, damn, I wish I'd invested in Tesla in 2008. I'd be a millionaire now. We want to get our investors excited. Investors all care mainly about one thing. What's in it for me? That's what we always focus on the most. When you're selling anything, don't tell people about the features. Don't tell them about how great your company is. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. What's in it for me is the most important question to answer. And so the thing that I tell our investors is, about 6 years ago, we started with a valuation of about 7 million Australian dollars. Our valuation is now $120 million in that short period of time. We're clearly adding lots and lots of valuable IP. I can show you a big patent chart. It's boring, but it's there. We've got a lot of really valuable IP, but what really matters is how quickly we're growing. You cannot get this level of growth from anything other than pre-IPO companies. The metrics you need to look at is how much traction. We've got a lot of traction in the market already. We've got plenty of prestigious clients, which we can talk about for days. My biggest piece of advice would be, you've got to be willing to put in the hard work. You're not going to spend 1 week and get $1 million of funding. That's never going to happen. You have to look at it as a process. What you need to do is actually sit down and work out some kind of daily routine for yourself. You need to get, because if you're any good, you're going to get lots of inquiries, lots of people messaging you, but they're not going to do the work for you. You have to educate them and make sure that they understand what your company's about and what's in it for them. Very, very important that you get that across. And if you can't answer that question to yourself, what's in it for them, then they're not going to get it either. So that goes down to the fundamentals of what your company is about. If you're making a great product that's in high demand and you're scaling quickly, you need to communicate that to them as clearly as possible. And then you need to say, because we're scaling, that means our valuation is growing quickly, which means that ultimately when you sell your shares one day, you're going to make a lot of money.